Hi, Dr. Heather here from Wellspring Chiropractic Lifestyle Center. Today I want to share with you what we do for folks when they come into our office for the first time and they are struggling with stress. We actually want to use technology to monitor how that stress is actually affecting their health. So when something hurts, someone can tell me about that they can feel the pain. But when someone has stress, they don't necessarily know how it's affecting their body. And everybody responds to stress differently. Some people adapt to it very well. Some people think they're adapting to it, but they're actually not, and it's affecting their health. And some people are just all over the place. They already know that their life has gone sideways because of stress. So what we want to do is we want to be very thorough in discovering exactly how stress is affecting someone's health. And we can literally measure that. So first, I want you to remember that in the nervous system, there's 3 parts to it. One part feels pain. That's the part that you can tell me about. The second part runs the muscles, but doesn't feel things. And the third part runs the organs, but you don't feel that either. And so the 90% of the nervous system is about running function, running the muscles and running the organs, but it's the part that you can't feel. So that's why we need to measure it. And so we have technology that is space certified. The astronauts use this technology in order to measure their health. So the first one that I like to do when someone comes in complaining of stress is I'd like to look at what organs might be being affected. So we use something called the rolling therm. And that is going to be a tool that we roll up their spine so that we can look at all the nerves that are coming out from the spine that are innervating all the different organs. So I want to show you a chart here that explains where the map of the nervous system is. And so the nerves come from the brain, down the spinal cord, out through the nerve roots, going to all the different organ systems in the body. Similar to a circuit breaker that has wires going to different rooms in the house, the nerves go to certain organ systems. And so in the top of the spine, the nerves come out, and there's the vagus nerve, a very important nerve that helps us deal with stress. The vagus nerve is what calms us down. And if there's any problem with the vagus nerve, then our ability to be calm gets interfered with, and we tend to keep defaulting to more and more stress. The vagus nerve comes out of the top, and it's in charge of running all of the major organs right down to the large intestine. So all of those organs either are going to be in stress mode or ease. And so the vagus nerve is what gets ramped up when we're in ease, and the organs will function the way they're supposed to in ease. We also have nerves that come out all the way down the spine, and those are part of the nervous system that is a bit more for managing stress or when we're active. So certain organs are going to need to be ramped up when we're in stress mode. And so the nerves that go to those organs, we're going to see, again, come out from the middle of the spine, and they go out to all those different internal organs. So some of the stress organs are going to be the adrenal glands. Up in the brain, the hypothalamus and the amygdala are what are monitoring our stress and then are sending the messages out to the body to see what are we going to do about that stress. So then the thyroid can be affected by stress levels, and then all the different endocrine organs are going to be affected by stress as well. And those are the hormonal organs, reproductive organs, and the liver, and our digestion will be affected by it as well. So these nerves come out and are innervating all of these different organs so that they're functioning properly. So the first one we do is the rolling thermal scan because it shows us where there's interference and where those organs now may not be working effectively. The second scan we do is measuring the stress in the muscles. So how many of you, when you're stressed, you know where you carry that stress, where your muscles are tight? Maybe it's up in your shoulders or in your neck, or you get headaches, or you feel it in your gut and your stomach, or your back gets more sore when you're stressed. And so we literally can use the surface EMG to measure how much stress is being stored in the muscles, how tight are those muscles, and exactly where in the spine that's happening. And then we also use a tool called heart rate variability, HRV. And this is literally the best way to show whether or not you are defaulting to stress. What I mean by that is sometimes if we're exposed to stress in the moment, we're going to expect our body to respond in a stressful way. But if the stress is no longer there, but your brain is thinking, whoa, I wasn't ready for that, but I'll be ready for the next time it happens, and the brain just starts to get in stress mode just in case, and now it's just defaulting to stress mode, there's actually a way we can measure that. We can see whether or not you are what we would call sympathetic dominant, which tells us You're just living in a stress mode even when there's no stress happening. We also can look at the robustness and your adaptability. What capacity do you have to actually be able to manage the current stresses that you're under? And then we can see whether or not you're just going into exhaustion mode because the stress has just been too much for too long. So those are great tools that we have to use. And then finally, we actually look at your posture, because your posture can tell us something about whether or not you're defaulting to stress mode. We literally can see a stress posture in somebody, and it usually shows up with them leaning their head forward as though their body is saying, their brain is saying, on your mark, get set. It's actually getting your body ready to run. So when we see somebody with their head forward and their shoulders hunched forward in a defensive posture, then that tells us that stress has been wearing down on them and it's actually becoming a habituated pattern. And so those are all the ways that we can start by measuring the stress. And then over time, as someone is getting healthier, we can measure how those changes are occurring. And we can literally see it happening. And then we know, we can literally see that you actually are indeed adapting to stress more effectively, which ultimately is what our goal is when we're working with people that are struggling with stress. So I hope that you found that this was useful. If you did, please share it with friends and family, and I look forward to sharing more with you soon.